Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on Richard III, and today we get to hear from King Edward in Act 2, Scene 1. Now remember, King Edward is currently the king, and he has been ill as of late, but started to feel a little smidge better, so he called all of these people who'd been warring with each other together because he wants everybody to reconcile before he dies. So at the beginning of Act 2, Scene 1, he's gathered all these people in a room together. There's Hastings and there's Dorset and Queen Elizabeth and all these people, and he has everybody make amends and promise to be friends with each other moving forward. And then Richard comes in and he makes a big show of apologizing to everybody for wrongs that he doesn't even know he might have committed, that whole thing, blah, blah, blah. But he says that he will be friends with everybody moving forth. And then Queen Elizabeth is like, well, what about Clarence? Are you also gonna pardon your brother Clarence? And Richard is like, oh, how dare you mention Clarence? Don't you know that he's dead? And everybody's jaws like hit the floor. And the king is like, what? No, wait, no, I was gonna let him go. What, didn't that message make it to the tower? And Richard's like, actually, no, like he was killed before your message to pardon him got there. So sorry about that. He's gone, he's dead. And then this man, Lord Stanley, comes in and he's begging an audience with the king. And the king is like, now's really not a good time. And Lord Stanley's like, no, but really, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And King Edward is like, okay, fine, what? And Lord Stanley kneels down and he's like, please forgive the life of this servant of mine who accidentally killed somebody just last night. And King Edward says, have I a tongue to doom my brother's death? And shall that tongue give pardon to a slave? My brother killed no man. His fault was thought, and yet his punishment was bitter death. Who sued to me for him? Who, in my wrath, kneeled at my feet and bid me be advised? Who spoke of brotherhood? Who spoke of love? Who told me how the poor soul did forsake the mighty Warwick and did fight for me? Who told me in the field at Tewkesbury when Oxford had me down, he rescued me and said, dear brother, live and be a king? Who told me when we both lay in the field, frozen almost to death, how he did lap me even in his garments and did give himself all thin and naked to the numb cold night? All this from my remembrance, brutish wrath, sinfully plucked, and not a man of you had so much grace to put it in my mind. But when your carters or your waiting vassals have done a drunken slaughter and defaced the precious image of our dear Redeemer, you are straight on your knees for pardon. Pardon, and I, unjustly too, must grant it you. But for my brother, not a man would speak, nor I, ungracious, speak unto myself for him. Poor soul, the proudest of you all, have been beholding to him in his life, yet none of you would once beg for his life. Oh God, I fear thy justice will take hold on me and you and mine and yours for this. Come, Hastings, help me to my closet. Poor Clarence. And then he retires to the other room to like have a nap, and Richard is like, okay, let's all go make Edward feel better. Oh, but by the way, did you all notice how when we mentioned that Clarence was dead, did you see how the Queen and her family all like flinched? Dun, 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 what do you think this might portend? So Richard is still playing up the whole thing that this was all Queen Elizabeth's fault. So anyway, what King Edward is saying in this speech, because that was the end of Act 2, Scene 1, what he's saying here in this speech is, like, he starts off with, you're asking me to pardon some rando dude who killed some rando dude, and I'm the one who just gave the order to have my brother killed, and I'm supposed to pardon your guy for that, and then he launches into a whole rant of like who came and begged for Clarence's life. You know, the same way that Lord Stanley is in front of him now asking to save the life of his servant. Nobody came to plead on Clarence's behalf that he be given leniency or be freed or any of that sort of thing. And then he goes through all of these actually really wonderful things that Clarence had done for him, times when he like was kind and saved his life and all that sort of thing. And nobody even bothered to remind Edward of all the good that Clarence had done in his life towards Edward. So he's upset with all of them because he feels like all of them had benefited from Clarence's existence as well, and the fact that none of them pled for him makes him really sad. And he's also really angry at himself for making rash decisions and not being able to talk himself out of them. So he then goes into the other room, and Richard says, "Did you all notice that the Queen's family flinched when Clarence was dead? That might mean something." And then he's like, let's all go and comfort the king in this time. And they all decide that they will. And that's the end of Act 2, Scene 1. So, fun stuff. It's a good monologue. It's a pretty weighty monologue. It's kind of a lovely monologue. But anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.